All right, so this is the picture, and if you'll take a look at it, it's just to make a point, but it shows a diesel-powered van pulling a gasoline-powered generator plugged into an electric vehicle that has run out of juice. And the reason I put this up there is just to remind everyone that electricity has to be produced somehow. If we want to have more electrical vehicles on the road to lessen the carbon footprint, that electricity's got to be produced somehow. So it can be produced through a lot of different methods. Nuclear power, Mr. Cohen's talked about, and we're going to go back to that, by the way. Hydroelectric power. But there's a lot of Californians on this committee. Good luck building a hydroelectric dam in California under their policies. Good luck building another hydroelectric project in this country under the current EPA rules and regulations. I think it's going to be very difficult. You've got coal-fired power plants. You've got natural gas-fired power plants. You've got wind, solar. You've got small modular reactors that can come online. There's a lot of different ways to produce electricity. And I truly am an all of the above guy. I love wind and solar. I think it's groovy technology. I love the prospect of hydroelectric cars, hydrogen-powered cars, all these things. But also know that our economy demands a 24/7, 365 baseload power supply. And let's just accept the understanding that the wind doesn't always blow and the sun doesn't always shine, and that those renewables are intermittent. And so because of the intermittency, they have to be supplemented by something that will provide the 24/7 baseload power supply that Americans demand. Not just American manufacturing, but Americans. They like their refrigerator to have cold drinks in it. They like to have warm homes, cool homes, etc. But we see, the trend sort of shifting. There's a city in California now that is banning natural gas. And so they're not going to allow new homes or new businesses to have natural gas to power their HVAC units or possibly to power their stoves to cook on. So Berkeley's actually moving their constituents toward more expensive and less efficient energy sources for their homes. HVACs that are powered by electricity are less efficient. Electricity is more expensive than natural gas. And the stoves are less efficient, and electricity is more expensive. So, thinking about electrical generation, let's shift gears and put the second slide up. I want to talk about nuclear energy and the important role it plays in the all of the above energy matrix. Now, my home state of South Carolina has 7 nuclear power reactors. They produce 95% of the state's emission-free electricity, 53% of our total electricity. In my district, Oconee Nuclear Station has 3 nuclear reactors. Let's just talk about one of those. 3 nuclear reactors provide 2,550 megawatts of carbon-free, continuous, always-on power for South Carolina and North Carolina. If we replace the Oconee Nuclear Station, which uses less than 2 square miles, with solar, it would require 107 square miles of land, nearly 4 times the size of our largest city in upstate Greenville. If we replace Oconee Nuclear Station with wind power, that will require over 854 square miles of land. That's more land than the entire county of Anderson, my largest county in my district. So this slide shows how you would replace one nuclear reactor that's 1,154 megawatts with wind. It would take 2,077 windmills, and there are 2,077 windmills on this graph. 2,077 windmills, 2 megawatt wind generators, to replace one solar reactor. Think about the land mass that would take to provide the wind power for that one reactor. Nuclear power is emission-free. Mr. Cohen, how can we further more nuclear power to lessen our carbon emission as part of this energy matrix?
Yeah, and that's probably a subject for another hearing. I would just say there are 3 things. One is let's get on with the RD&D demonstration of the next generation of reactors that will be less expensive and faster to build. Secondly, we need to address the U.S. waste problem, and well, those 2 would be a good running start.
Well, you mentioned earlier some of the things that are hampering nuclear power. In South Carolina, we were building 2 more nuclear reactors, and the company had to stop because regulations by the government during the construction process, not during the permit approval process, during the construction process, changed so much that the cost went up, and that had to be mothballed. So now we're not having that nuclear power generation to meet our future electrical needs. How do we overcome the regulatory environment within a cost-benefit application that will support the growth of the nuclear industry?
Look, we've been supporting much more performance-based regulation. I do think the situation in South Carolina is a little more complicated than that. It's probably a subject of another hearing. There's a lot of blame to go around on that. I don't
In a
think
5-minute, we have to, you can't be that complicated.
I don't think the NRC bears all the
The gentleman's
blame in that
time has
situation.
expired.